Hey guys, I don't traditionally do album reviews. I think the last album review I did was maybe like gosh, 3 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago. But when I see that an album comes out that's really good and I think it's not going to get the acknowledgement that it deserves, I will give it a review just so that more people can spread the word of mouth. And that album this time is House of Sugar by Sandy Alex G. This is a guy I haven't been listening to very long, which is crazy. I should have been listening to him years ago, and he's got a very deep discography for someone who's only 26, 27 years old. A lot of albums, a lot of EPs, a lot of split EPs. You can find them all on his Bandcamp page. Just type in Sandy Alex G. It caught my attention this summer when I think the song Gretel popped up in my recommendations, and I listened to it, and I was blown away by the song structure and just the songwriting in general. And I listened to the other singles. He released like four singles before the album came out, and I liked all of them, and they were all way different than the last single. And I was like, this guy's got a lot of range and a lot of depth to his music. I can't wait for this album. And I've listened to this album more than a handful of times, and I do think that this album is the strongest album I've listened to this year. And the thing is that it might not be everyone's favorite album, but for me, it has such a wide variety of genres, and you can't just pin it down to one specific genre. It's just so much. And compared to his last album, Rocket, which definitely leans a little heavier on, let's say, alternative country, a little bit of Americana, with still some really experimental stuff there in the middle. This album just has a little bit of that, and I think that this is actually his glossiest album in terms of production. It's fairly polished, but not overproduced. It sounds really good, and I like that these songs aren't necessarily just traditional songs. At times, sometimes they're just ideas that really spark a mood in you. And it reminds me a lot of like a movie score at times. I think that this guy would be amazing at scoring movies. But yet again, you still have really good like crowd pleasing songs on the album. For instance, like the whole middle section of the album is taken over by these instrumentals with a little bit of vocal performance in them, but I wouldn't call them like lyrical songs. If they do have lyrics, it just kind of repeats the same thing over again. But it's not repetitive because the music is so intriguing. For instance, you have songs like Taking, Project 2, and Sugar, and they're all instrumental songs essentially, but they're all way different from one another. Just they all have different moods and feelings to them. Some happier, some sadder, some sort of intense and kind of frightening and startling. And I don't see many people being able to do that within one album. When an album starts off with songs that are essentially singles, and then just take the whole middle section to do these weird experimental songs, I have to applaud that. And the album does start with a song that I wouldn't call an instrumental song, but the lyrics are a bit repetitive, but not in a bad way. And that song is "Walk Away." It has such a good hook that you can listen to that hook over and over again for the 4 minute runtime. That's basically what it does while expanding on the instrumental. And so some of the singles that came out were like Hope, Southern Sky, and Gretel. And all these songs are amazing. With Hope and Southern Sky having more of that folk feel to them. Hope sounding like earlier Elliott Smith. And another thing that's intriguing is that this album definitely does feel influenced by Elliott Smith to some degree. Like a song like Hope feels like earlier Elliott Smith, but then a song like Crime feels like EXO Figure Eight, like late Elliott Smith. And I like that they took a little bit of Elliott Smith throughout all of his career there, and didn't just stick with the singer songwriter stuff and expanded on more of the indie rock stuff, which is definitely where a song like Crime comes in. Gretel, it's hard to really explain like the power behind this song. It has a really amazing guitar intro that just like floods the 90s. Like it definitely sounds like something from the 90s. But then it also has this backing guitar that's just mesmerizing, and obviously the chorus and everything is just really catchy, but it's not repetitive. I don't think it repeats like anything like more than once. And I found that very interesting. The song goes by in like the blink of an eye. I think it's like 3 minutes long, and it has like not a traditional song structure. Like it has a verse, pre-chorus, chorus, but then it doesn't go back to a verse really. It just sort of goes off and does its own thing, and it gets lost in the feeling that it's created more so than going by a standard song structure. And I think that's this album in a nutshell. And what's even more impressive is that the album ends on a live track. I don't know if they overdub stuff, but for a live track, it sounds amazing. That is Sugar House, which definitely feels like a Bruce Springsteen song. Just loaded down with that sax lead, and probably the most recognizable lyrics on the album. Like you can hear his voice more on this one, probably because it is basically a live track. Yet again, I don't know if it's completely live, but it definitely sounds live, and it may be the strongest song on the album. It's the song that I've had stuck in my head the most since listening to the album yesterday. But yeah, this is a really excellent album. I'd have it, if it's not my favorite album of the year, I'd have it maybe second favorite album of the year, because between this and Igor by Tyler, the Creator, there's just so much creativity. And I don't think neither of those albums probably got the attention that they deserve. But I hope that this album really catches on. I should have got into them back when Cymbals Eat Guitar wrote a song loosely based on an experience that he had with Sandy Alex G. But I guess I just didn't. I didn't even think about it. But now I'm listening to all of his stuff, and I'm still not completely caught up on all of his material. That's how much material he has. But yeah, what did you think of House of Sugar? I think it's incredible. And if I had to give it like a letter grade or a number grade, for me, I'd give it an A or like a 4.5 out of 5. Just really strong stuff, and definitely one of the best albums of the year. Let me know what you thought of this album in the comment section below. Hit that subscribe button, and thank you for watching.